I thought it might be time to give a little bit of an update on Gaddafi and the situation in Libya. As we are now all aware, Gaddafi has been buried at an unknown location in the middle of the desert, which means Gaddafi is getting the exact same treatment that Osama bin Laden got. Gaddafi was not Osama bin Laden. He was not a CIA asset who then went on to become a scapegoat for the 9/11 false flag attacks. Now, whether you believe that they were real, genuine terrorist attacks, or whether you believe it was an inside job, irrelevant. The point is, Gaddafi got the same treatment as the guy who was supposedly behind them. Something that was wholly unnecessary and completely insulting. For everything that Gaddafi did, the education system, the healthcare, the agricultural achievements, everything, dragging Libya from the poorest country in Africa to like the best, he gets treated the same as the world's most hated man. That's an insult, and frankly, completely unwarranted. That is an insult, not only to Gaddafi and his family, but to the people of Libya. And now, thanks to the U.S. NATO-backed overthrow of the Libyan government and Libyan society, and most notably, its destruction of it, it has been released that Al-Qaeda, the supposed existing terrorist organization, has planted its flag. I am personally of the opinion that Al-Qaeda does not exist, and that it was something that was created against the Soviets in Afghanistan, and since then has been used as a boogeyman for all kinds of purposes. However, if we're going to go by the official story, Al-Qaeda has now planted its flag. Literally, the flag has literally appeared. Meaning that once the secular, reasonable government of Gaddafi has been removed, the religious, fundamentalist government has moved in, and thus Al-Qaeda has moved in. Which also means that in about 10 years, we're going to have to re-invade Libya in order to save it from terrorism, or because it'll be a source of terrorism, because Al-Qaeda is there. Just like what would happen with Afghanistan. So we can look forward to that in about 10 years, if the world is even still in one piece at that time. And for those who don't know, Sharia law has now been instituted in Libya, where once a secular quasi-welfare state was in. Now we have a religious fundamentalist government, like, say, stateless capitalist Somalia or Saudi Arabia or places like that. Now that the secularism has been killed out of it, religious fundamentalism has taken over. And the U.S. kept saying that it was against the spread of radical Islam, or Islamic fundamentalism, whichever particular title they're using right now. And they've just created another one. Interfered in Iran, created an Islamic fundamentalist government. Interfered in Afghanistan, created an Islamic fundamentalist government. Interfered in Iraq, and they're moving towards an Islamic fundamentalist government. It just seems like wherever the U.S. goes to fight radical Islam, they just keep creating more of it. Or I guess, in this case, now NATO as well. Another great achievement of imperialism. And now that Sharia law has been instituted in Libya, the return of polygamy, the multiple brides that are common from Islamic fundamentalism, have now been put forth, legalized, whereas they were illegal under Gaddafi. And if my memory serves me correctly, it was Gaddafi who would actually ban the practice. So, another great achievement for women's rights at the hands of imperialism. Which means in probably about another 10 years, they're going to start invoking the images of oppressed people, along with terrorism, as a reason to reinvade Libya. Which means this whole endeavor has been absolutely meaningless. The US and the rest of the NATO allies are going to get their hands on some cheap oil now, control of the oil reserves, until the oppression of the Libyan people at the hands of a US-backed government become too much. Then they're going to get overthrown by a popular movement. Then the popular movement is going to restrict US and NATO access to the oil, possibly raising the price on them, using the oil money to benefit people, and refuse to take orders from Washington and whatnot, which means about 2 years after that, there will be claims of a need to invade Libya once again in order to save people from a supposed dictator. So, as we can see, the more things change, at least with imperialism, the more they stay the same.